Yo, 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 good evening, people. What we doing this evening? Yeah. Let's go. All right, all right. That was a nice little intro. The freestyle that was just like whatever. I know how to play it. Let's just play along. Let's see. Let's just see what happens, right? I butchered it. Yeah, you heard it. I butchered it. But I like that. Real simple, like, right? Oops. It's dope. It's dope. But this sound, I forgot about these sounds because once I got complete 14, I was like, oh, cool, all the new sounds. And I didn't come back to like, I got a whole third party folder thing on the sounds from third party libraries, contact libraries. So, and yeah, kind of slept on this one. Really did. Oh, long time no see, Todd. How's it going, man? Shoot, my bad. Too fast. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, we've been through a lot, man. We've been making some stuff. We got we got stuff, man. Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. So, so we're actually gonna mix this down today. Just a second. Let me get this thing open. All right. So, what we're gonna do? I reset everything. All right. So, what we're gonna do is clear. I just got my routing, but other than that, we're clear. Um, so here, usually, um, what you can do before you start creating or before you start the mix process, limiter or a compressor. Okay, go to your gain. You're gonna add 5.5 decibels, or you can have 5 or 6, whatever. Right. Reason being is your target level for your mix is going to be between -3, -6, right? Once you add the 5.5, the 6, the 5, whatever, at that point, you're going to actually push that past the zero mark or your threshold, right? And then the limiting part, compressor will be a little different, right? With the threshold, well, doing it through a limiter is a little easier because you don't have to worry so much about ceiling is, but the compressor still works if as a output gain knob because you're still increasing the volume, right? Once you got that target level, it's still gonna push it up towards the zero, but there's no limiter to kind of stop you, right? Past it. So as close as you can, it might be a little lower, and then work from there. Um, So I have this on, and what this will allow us to do, for one, because when you get your mix set up, it's going to be quieter, right? It's not the loudest it can be once you hit that target level, right? There's still room, so it's not as loud. But with that on, it does make it louder. All right. This will help once you have your volume knob set, whether it's on your whatever system you're using, audio interface, whatever, right? You can set it, okay? Set it while it's quiet, right? Set it to a moderate level, bam. Now you can kind of bypass between hearing it quietly and then hearing it louder, okay? So you don't have to sit there and keep touching the knob and, I had it right here last time and trying to remember all that. Boom, done through here, right? So, what we're gonna do is we want to reach that target level, okay? And so we're gonna go now to our sounds, which are out in its own track. And we're going to start trying to balance this and hit our target level. No effects, okay? No effects. So let's go. Yo, Addictstein. Appreciate you stopping by, man. Just the man waiting to see. We are now getting started. So I was just explaining everything is reset. All of the knobs here are back to their default. And I was just explaining the limiter thing. So now what we're gonna do is balance our track. We're not gonna touch any faders. We have no effects on here or anything. We're gonna balance this and we're gonna get it to our target level. This is going to be our pre-mix, okay? So before you start mixing, that's what we're going to do. If you do not have access to gain knobs for each track or instrument that you've chosen, then what you're going to do is on each track, you're going to add a gain plugin. If your DAW doesn't have one, which it should, if it doesn't, there are free ones, okay? All it's doing is controlling the, that's it, okay? Control the volume just like I could from here, right? But what we want to do is control the volume of the signal coming in to our mixer, okay? That's your input gain, all right? Whereas this is your output volume. So let me explain that again. When we're dealing with gain, it's actually a little different from volume, okay? Gain is your noise, your signal to noise ratio. Talked about this a few days ago. Picture you have like a guitar and you have an amp. Well, you have two knobs. You have a gain knob, you have a volume knob. If I manipulate the gain knob, right, if I increase it, I can get a more distorted or a dirty sound from my, electric guitar, right? And so I can drive that signal and kind of start to distort it, right? That's affecting the quality of the sound. All right. Now, once I get it the way I want it, then I take the volume and I can adjust that. And all the volume is doing is just making that distorted sound or clean sound, however I have the gain adjusted, louder or quieter. Okay. So don't get it. You get your kick on here. Okay. It's going. Let's give you an example real quick. All right. Let's take this. Okay, don't take something like this and you start hearing it kind of distort because it's too loud, right? And then do this, okay? And then go, okay, it sounds quieter. This is the way I want it, right? Because what's going to end up happening is go to slap an effect on here, okay? Have a, yes, I do. We do a large. That's not very large. All right. So here's our meter, which we can also go by here as well. And so as you see it hitting, not that loud here because we turned down the volume, but we're still loud coming into the mixer. Whereas the output volume, your fader, is only controlling the volume going out from the mixer and through your speakers. That's the only place you're controlling the volume. All right. So then you come in here, you start doing it like this is getting out of control, right? Out of hand. You got stuff. It's clipping. There's all kinds of stuff going on, but you're lost because it looks like you still got headroom. In reality, you don't. Right? This is going to translate, right, to that sound not being as in the case of our kick here, not being as punchy or impactful as we would like it to be, or the kick once it hits sounds a little bit distorted, right? Snares, all of that, right? So what we want to do is only work with our gain, right? So we're in the box, so okay, we want to go move faders, but remember a lot of this is modeled after hardware, right? And so in the older studios, with all the analog equipment and all that, while we may not have the issue of trying to record a sound loud enough to where we're not really capturing the humming from the machines, the noise from the machines into our recording, right? While we may not have that issue, we still, okay, gain is responsible for the signal to noise ratios. It's responsible for the quality of the sound. So if you start taking a hi-hat, for instance, and you start turning it up too much, it may not even show it's clipping, right? But just by driving that, we're starting to affect that ratio now, and now your hat sounds kind of distorted, right? I think this will be another example, and it'd be a better one to work with. Is it? I didn't rename it, so second. All right, so if we do the same thing, you start hearing that like distortion. We're not clipping, but you can hear that distortion, right? Just to prove my point. Turn this down. It still sounds like this. It's just gonna get quieter. You still hear the distortion in that. It's just a quiet, distorted sound now. Like the example with the guitar amp, right? Same thing there. So we still want to make sure that our levels are set somewhere where it still sounds good. It's clean, but we're not picking up that distortion in the sound either. Okay, a lot cleaner, right? So, starting points. I can give you some stuff for hip hop here, and I will go over that stuff as I start to set it. But in our premix, do not touch your faders. This is there's a term for it. It's called zero unity gain. Okay, leave your faders at zero. We're gonna work with our gain or with your gain plugin, however you have to do it, and then start dialing this stuff in. So let's go back. Let's play. So we had kicks. Okay. This is stuff you can research as well. But between -6, -9 as a starting point. This doesn't have to be an end point. It's just a starting point. Okay. So I like to take the ladder. If they give you a range, I just take the floor. Okay. So I'm gonna put this about -9. I think it's kind of. Let me get that to balance out a little bit. I try and keep everything centered until we actually get to panning, and then I'll start moving things. So if something's already panned, personally, I'll go and balance it out, right? Till I can see it's playing both from the left and right as evenly as possible. You don't have to get, spend 10 minutes trying to make sure both line, but as long as it's close, all right? And then we'll go from there. So you can get more of, um, kind of get like a better accuracy. I guess that would be what I want to say there. You'll get better accuracy as you're putting all this together. So we'll go. Let's get this to about -9. All right. So snares, I like to keep my snares at about -12. It might sound a little quiet, but trust me. You heard anything I was playing earlier. Trust me on this one. All right. Don't lose focus. So let's go. I really do that. I got 2 kicks on this one. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, I got you. So, in this case, what we're gonna do, whenever I have sounds I'm gonna layer, one's gonna be louder than the other. All right. Typically, because the higher frequencies are more energetic. In this case, I have one kick that's more low end, right? And then I got one that's got more of the like attack, the snap, and I want to put these together. So in this case, what I'll do is I'll make this one the this one. It's 9. Hold on. And for this one, we'll actually make this one -12. All right. Okay, so now I can hear more of the punch from this one, and then more of the attack from this one. Then as we go and we do the EQ, I'll show you how we'll win this. Pretty simple. And let's keep going. So I got a bunch of claps here, but the snare, I'm gonna set the snare to -12. All right, so. All right, for the claps, layered as well. So let's take a listen. Is this a? They're all running here. Oh, that's why. Turn this on so we can hear them. Okay, so I have this one. This one. What is this? What is this? Another clap? Another clap. This is why labeling things is so important, folks. So let's take this will be number 8, actually. Okay. So our number 8. And we'll worry about this stuff. So do that. And then for our claps, because we have our snare, our claps are going to blend as well. What I'm gonna do again, we're just gonna make these lower than snare. So here, take that. All right, there we go. So right. And the reason why I'm doing this, especially with so many claps, if you can see here, right, it's higher, even though it's showing down here lower, because as these all come in, they're gonna cause a spike, right? It's gonna cause an increase in volume because those sounds are hitting and because they're around those same frequency. All right, so we can actually make this a little quieter, but it's still going to translate. So snare out of here. Right. So for this one, got more of the attack than this one. This has kind of more of a mid-range kind of thing. So what I do is okay, this one. All right, so these two together, dope. Sounds a little more full, and then have this, then more of the lower. Do we have to keep this here? No, but no. But having that in there, yeah, it just kind of pops. So I had 3 of these in here to do things. Go and take this one. So we got number 6. And what I want to do with that is I'm actually going to leave this one about level with our snare. Okay. So we'll have a sound like this. All kind of blends in, right? All right, cool. There, let's go back. For the hats, okay? Minus 21. It's a good starting point. The snares, the claps, minus 12, minus 15. All right. If it's just claps, then take the claps to minus 12. But if you're gonna layer, whatever is gonna be more that dominant sound, it needs to be the louder one, right? So let's take our hats here and we're gonna drop it to minus 21. And we got 2 here, so. Another hat here. A bit more. That's perfect. We got crash cymbals. That's also the same thing. Alright, so that would take care of the drums, right? So you can pretty much hear everything. It sounds pretty balanced, and our perceived volume, right? We're about there. The kick is a little bit louder, right? The snare a little bit louder, the claps, but you can still hear those hats, and right, they're more energetic, so they kind of just cut through, right? No problem. All right, so we get over to our melodies, and we're gonna find a couple of sounds that run through the entirety of the track. For the most part, this does as well, but I think this is our bass here. So we have 2 sounds here, this one and this, okay? So again, these are being layered, but this is what is driving our song, right? This melody appears throughout the entire time, right? So we're gonna mark that as our main melody, and we're gonna take those two, which is on 20 and 21, and we're gonna put these at minus 18. Okay, so melody that you have, we're gonna set that to minus 18 for a starting. Let's go back here. That's pretty cool. This one, I'm gonna do the same thing. So, together. Everything else. Oh no, I would never put my melodies that low. Alright, let's go. So, all we're doing is we're creating premix right now. No effects. Okay? Keep it going. We also got. Okay, so this is kind of a sound that we have in the background, just kind of supporting our main melody here. So since our main melody is at minus 18, that means this supporting sound is going to be what? Somewhere below that, right? Let's try minus 21. So let's see, it's 20, take 23 here, and okay. Then we have bass. And like I said, any time we're dealing with bass, and I see we have two on the same channel, which I'm not gonna talk about that. All right, so what we can do, actually, let's move it like. So what we're gonna do with our bass here, I explained this the last stream. When it comes to bass, starting point. Well, all right, we want the bass there, but we don't want the bass as loud or louder than the kick because you drown it out, right? We got to balance this track with no effects, and we still need to be able to hear everything. Right? Alright, so let's take 22. Something like that, perfectly fine. So what this allows you to do is hear the kick just as cleanly as you're hearing the bass right now. Alright. And for that other sound, I'm guessing that is this one. Where do we put that one on? 24. This is another background sound here. So it's going to up a little more. Let's try minus 24 with this. Okay. When this other when it comes in again and it plays that higher note here and it plays that sequence out, um, the volume drops a little bit, but that's okay, right? We got the peak where we want that, and when we get to it, we got some stuff we can do there to keep that volume consistency, as we were talking about the other day as well, right? So now that we have this all balanced, we should be able to go and play this, and it should sound good. It's not gonna sound great. It's not cleaned, right? But it should sound good, and we should be able to go and check our master. In this case, I'll be checking the mix bus because I have a limiter here. Um, and as you can see, we should be about here, but I do have some things that are playing together. Okay, so but when we get done, or when you look, you should be here. Okay, should be at that target area. You should be somewhere -3, -6, and you're good to go. So if you use those starting points, let's say we claps, we took some of this out. All right, we would definitely be in our ballpark. But like I said, I got a couple of things here that kind of crashing together. We're about to set this up. Here we go. Everything's good. You hear everything? Does anything sound like it might be a little too low? Anything like that? If not, let's go. Right? So now we can start the mix process. Okay? So all we're gonna do in the end is end up with a cleaner version of our premix. All right. And because when we make the changes, right, we're still going to gain stage, we're still going to return volume back to where we had it. All we're going to end up with cleaner version of our premix, and we'll still be on target, right? Yeah. So now that you know it sounds right before you did anything, and the levels are right before you did anything, when you get done, if it's not right, you did something wrong somewhere. You go back, check what you did, and boom, from there. All right. All right. So let's get started. Always, always, always make sure you're doing your high pass and your low pass. Now, you're not going to be able to see anything from here, but I got you, right? Down. But I got you, okay? So, we're going to do have bass, okay? So, with this playing, while this is playing, all right, we can already kind of hear that these two sounds are kind of fighting. We don't know just where yet. I do, but you may not know this, right? Being new, right? But what I can tell you is with kick, okay, we don't need the low end kick, so we have the bass 4, right? So we can actually cut that out. So what we'll end up doing, I'm gonna do over here is we're going to run a high pass, and we're gonna run a low pass, right? A high pass is going to allow us to clean or cut out these lower frequencies. It's a gradual curve to infinite to 0. Okay. In this case, with this particular kick, all right, we're gonna do some magic here. All right, a little special today. But remember, we have 2 kicks. This has more of that low end part to it. So what I'm gonna do with this one, pushing a little more than I would use. Right? The goal here, all right, when we are high passing, we want to push in enough to clear out as much of the low end frequencies as we can, but not so far where it starts to make the sound we're working with thin. That's not going to translate very well, right? That's too far. Once you start hearing it sound really thin, just pull back a little bit. Okay, bam. I can hear that clear as day. Okay. We're over here at about 120 hertz. Okay, so that I'm fine with that. And again, because we have this. Oh, all of a sudden you can hear this kick, right? Because it's not having any interference really, because we're rolling out those frequencies, turning those volumes down, and so we're still hearing the part that we like in this kick, and then we're also now able to hear more this other part and this sound we like in this other kick, right? Okay, so on the other side, what we'll do is grabbing the wrong thing there. Low pass. Okay. When you push in too far, when you're low passing, what this will do is you'll start losing the clarity in the sound. So when you go too far to where you start hearing it sound a little more like dull, you start to lose that clarity, that characteristic there. Too far, back it up a little bit, right? That, too far. You're starting to lose it, right? Perfect. Okay. Go back a little more, actually. All right. I like this. So, and the reason why we're going to do this for every sound, not just because you're kicking, you're trying to get your bass or whatever, right? Everything needs its own place. It has its place where it lives, its sweet spots and all of that, right? But we want to make room for those sounds to be able to come through. So in this case, right, by doing that, when the bass comes in, okay, you still hear the kick, but now the bass is in and it's not being bothered with the kick. Okay, so now it sounds cleaner, right? You can hear that more, and it'll sound nicer, right? It'll feel nicer because it's not having the low frequencies, those sub frequencies, and the kick hitting at the same time as the bass as well. This will start to take out some of the mud or the rumble that you may be hearing. Okay, so all right, and then from there we can start boosting things that we like or taking out things that we don't. But that's what we're gonna do here, right? Um, of course, go in here and go back a little more. That's about fine right there. So here at about 140, I found the punch in this drum and boost that a little bit more. Okay. Um, right here, it sounds very hollow, kind of boxy, right? In this region, or when you're hearing when you're hearing the sound like that, it's just letting you know that there's information there, but it's not a lot of information, right? Not from the low end, not from the high end. So it's just kind of this like hanging by a thread kind of thing, all right? Which is why it even sounds like that. So when you find areas like this, and every sound pretty much has it, right? By turning those frequencies down, it will actually start to tighten up the sound, right? Hear that? Do like more of an extreme, right? But you'll start hearing that it actually kind of tightens it up and it makes it sound um bit more present, and you start hearing more of the stuff that you like, that we're removing this, right? So you don't have to do much. Maybe do like -3 or something, but it's just enough. Quiet that and actually tightens this sound. Okay. Likewise, a lot of times your snare, when you find this area, your snare's gonna live there. So in dropping this, not only do you make the kick sound tighter, but then allow the snare to have some breathing room. Okay, so you don't have to worry about this going across, right? It just you could almost hear it kind of lingering from the kick to the snare, right? Whereas when you have this kind of dropped, right, and then especially in tracks where you have like a four on the floor, because you know that snare and that kick is gonna hit at the same time. It's perfect. Okay. Okay. There may be other sounds that we have going on here that in the mid range may play, like more melodic sounds, right? But not to worry about that being present with it. Okay. And if we do that, the snare, like we just let all that sit, it'll start to create a build up with all these sounds playing together. Okay. So again, going in here, doing the work to find out problem areas, as well as finding the good areas, is what's going to translate and make this sound 100 times better than anybody else's stuff, right? When they go to play your music,
This is another Ron production.
everything sounds tight, right? It's hitting, it's cutting through the snares, you know, present right there. Just bam, bam, crack, right? The kicks, boom, boom, boom. Like the stuff you want to hear, you're actually hearing instead of saying, "I'll just leave everything there and then get done and play it," and then you're going, "Where did I go wrong?" Right? How come it doesn't sound as clean as the next man's, right? So this is it. Going in here, being able to hear these different areas, and being able to go, okay, this is supposed to sound like, and I know what I'm gonna do with this, right? Um, so let's go and cut that down. All right. Now in this kick, we went for really. Okay, so let's. This is about 1.3K, and as you can tell, even when I turn this up, it's not blaring, but I can like really, really hear it. There's clarity, right? So this is that area. It's a good area, and by turning this up, what it's gonna do is give the kick more of an attack, more of a snap, right? So with the punch and the snap, okay, now you can. Everything is playing. You can hear that coming through the mix. Right. Let's. Okay. Kick jumping out is like, hey, I'm here. I'm in here, right? Now, do you have to go and do this? Because sometimes it's already there. But what I'm trying to show you is this is kind of like what you're wanting to look for, right? And you want to make sure that when you play it, that kick is still present, right? If you're playing it back and that kick sounds like you're like, okay, I hear it, but some of these other sounds are kind of cutting into it. Like maybe if it was a okay, that to an extreme, you can, right? So you don't need to do much when you're dealing with higher frequencies. So hey, put it up like a dB or two and leave it. I promise it'll do its thing. Especially once we get here, a couple of things we're gonna add to our drum bus that's really gonna like set this off. All right. But that is basically what we're gonna do here. And then with this one, we'll do some other things, right? So that we can have that um more of the low end. And actually we can leave this out right here. Don't even need it. Because once we boost this, we're not gonna hear that really, right? So you can already hear right now, it sounds like one kick, but I have two kicks layered here. Okay, so it's more of like a trade off that we're gonna do here. Right? So where we boost it here, we want to keep. What we want to do on this other kick is we're actually going to clip here, right? So that these two can play together. All right. So let me go back to this thing. I want to show you guys because I know you can't see that here. So let's run this to and let's run this over to 8. I already did all the other EQing stuff to kind of show you what we're doing. So we can do that. So this one does not start, doesn't have a 1K, right? Starts at 3K. So this one will be one we can use since we know where that spot is. For this, you can try. It does do more of like a shelf. So right. But what I'm gonna do is, which basically has all of the like mid-range frequencies, like low mids, high mids. All right. So what we can do again, I'm going to turn this up, kind of like what we did with the visual EQ sweep. I'm going to look at that boxy area. So I'm going to set this to 100. So this is peak. I can only boost here, and this is dip, so I can only cut here. So that's why I did that. And then, okay, immediately tightens up the kick, and then we have 1.5. We're at like 1.3, so perfect. And let's turn that up a little bit. Okay. So let's turn it up to, let's say about here, as I can start to hear it. All right. Let's let this. As you can see, if I take this off, it's not too much, but we did lose a little bit. Right? Move that back. All right, go here. Some changes. Again, dropped off just a little bit. Run it back. This is gain staging. Is should be about as common as breathing. Okay, every time you make a change with your tools, I don't care compression, EQ, I don't care if the reverb sets it off some kind of way, right? Always do your before and after and make sure we're at the same volume, because if I go and boost the kick, right, it's gonna make it sound louder. So naturally, you think louder must be better, right? Once you bring the volume back and you bypass and you can only hear the changes that you made, it's different. Maybe that might be too far that you boosted, right? And you're like, okay, that's heavy. Let me turn it down a little bit and then fix it. Right? So we're always able to hear the changes that we made, and we're still always going to be at our same volume. Okay, so let's go to our next kit. I'm going to do something similar. So let's go here. As you can hear, we have nothing going on in the upper frequencies. Okay, but what I want to do is, let's roll it at 50. This you could probably losing it, right? So here's where you start losing it. So let's take it to 6, and we'll let that roll. Um, down. All right, and then let's take out that EQ. Now what this does, you can't see it. What it's doing is it's actually applying a shelf. Okay, so we've gone and made our curves for our high pass and low pass, and then what we're gonna do when we go to boost, it's gonna do a shelf. So from the number that we pick and to the left till we start to get to that curve there, right? All of that's gonna get boosted. That's why this sounds a little better, right? What are we doing? This, right? And so, problem if I go and boost this 60, then from 60 to the left, everything gets boosted. If I go here and boost at 60 to the left, and it starts to kind of come down, which is cool, but you're also picking up stuff over here. Now it sounds a little different, right? But you can always go in, usually in these, and you can set. So all you have to do is, if you want it, set this to a low shelf. Okay, so now you can have your high pass, but you also have your shelf, and you get this nice little curve here, right? Bam, something like that. That's what you're doing with these two connected together. If you didn't have this one, then that's all you're left with. It's gonna boost all of this and all of this back here. So people get this, they forget this, they forget completely about this. Or you see videos and they go, I'm gonna boost the kick, I'm gonna take this out and boost it out here. And what it's actually doing is this. As long as they didn't high pass or low pass it, all of that just got a boost, right? And that's bad because you have things that live over there, right? That we're trying to hear and that we want to have its own space, which is our base, right? So let's take this. I'm going to take this to 100. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, 3. I can't hear the change. Get a little bit more punch here. It sounds a little bit cleaner here. So, we're gonna leave it here at 60. That is fine. And then let's check. So with the boost we made, it went up to -6, but we know we had this kick at -9, right? Let's take our output. Also, what I'm gonna do is move the attenuation knob, which is going to perform a cut. Now this would do a low shelf, and you think would actually counter what you just did here, right? But what they found out is when you do them both together, you get an interesting happens. So what it does is, so somewhere after 60, it's not right after, maybe skips a bit, maybe starts at 90 or something like that. I wish I remembered the video because he had like an analyzer. But what it'll start to do is actually create. Yeah. If we didn't use this and we just used this, it would create a shelf and it would lower, right? Kind of like how we're boosting. But when the two are used together, it creates this. You'll have your shelf, then it'll create a curve. It starts dipping afterwards, right? Which again, good because we have that snare, right? And so again, somewhere over here is a hollow boxy sound that we don't want, right? So let up a little bit. Back since we cut in. Okay, boom. So we have both of the kicks are done. Let's hear what it sounds like. Can you tell here? It's not spiking so high anymore, right? That was one part, and then of course we got the claps, and once we do that, we'll get a true um true reading of where we are, right? So we fix that, bam. All right. Normally you probably wouldn't have something like this going on. In this case, I things together because I was like, I like this one kick, right? This one kick, but it just didn't have enough at the bottom going on. So I said, let me go find something that had like bottom in it. And I wasn't really caring for the rest of it. I'm like, if anything, we'll just cut that out, right? Where did we cut it at 6? So we could take this here and just let's just do a little, okay? So it'll let this other kick breathe a little more, right? Let's play it. Okay, let it breathe a little more because we did go and just over there. So the way this works are these two knobs. This is your 20K. This is your 10K, 5K. Supplies a high shelf and anyway, so it's making a curve, right? Now we don't need to do too much on it, right? Because we rolled off at 6, but just over there, right? Just kind of tone it just a little bit and let some more of that, those frequencies from this other kick kind of go into there, okay? This right here is where this comes in, and you can boost these frequencies, control the bandwidth here. A little weird, I know, but and I was like, oh, because I thought like I was like, okay, I guess this is just the overall cue for how they're all gonna. No, all right, this works together. This works together. Work together. That's that. Kick. Okay. Exit out. Let me start with the snare here. All right, so kind of a similar fashion to the kick. We're gonna high pass, we're gonna low pass, we're gonna find what sounds good, and then we're either gonna boost or we're gonna make cuts. We're gonna find out where it sounds, where problem areas are or problem area, and then we're gonna take those out. Okay. For snares, a good starting point is 100 hertz. Okay, a couple things happen when we do this, right? Boost our kicks in the low end, right? That's gonna create plenty of space for the kick to be able to play and not to potentially fight with the snare, especially if you got something that's got a little more low end. Okay, you're gonna see more activity here than what I have. But again, everything is we're cleaning it up so we can get like the best quality that we, right? Because the more we start cleaning out that low end, then the better the low end is gonna sound. Okay, because we don't have things that are playing down there to potentially come in and start creating a problem, right? So high pass, low pass, everything. Okay, and the low pass slope. For the low pass, you want to get in as far as you can, right? Because just like your bass, okay, you have um, sounds that actually live in those higher frequencies. Okay, so by taking every sound, pushing in from both sides as far as we can, okay, without destroying the characteristics of each sound, okay, we can start to create room and let some of these other things breathe. Okay, so now when they play, you hear it a whole lot better because it doesn't really have anything to fight with, right? Um, yeah, about 100 for the snare. It doesn't mean you can't push it any further, but again, it's a good place to start and work from, right? So as we're looking here, we actually see the majority of the activity kind of over here in this area, right? And with the way this is going, if you wanted to, it'll allow you to kind of push it in a little more, right? You can mess with your curve if you're trying to get as close as you can. Okay, just be careful. You don't want to get something that's just like kind of brick. You might end up with some phasing issues. Okay, so gentle curves, right? These more gentle slopes are better. But if you feel like you just need to get in there a little bit more to achieve the goal, then hesitate to. So, right? But what you'll find is a lot of times the default, right? This might be like 6 or something. It's perfect, okay? And then we'll go in, where the bass in that snare is, okay? We can find that part where it don't sound too great, okay? It's gonna tighten up the snare. Then we can find where we get the clarity, which looks like it's about over about the 2K area. So we know where our sweet spots for this is. Okay, we know where our problem area is. You can work at bass. Maybe it's already got a lot of bass in the snare. You could leave it at perfect. Or if you want to tone that down a little more, maybe you don't want it that heavy, also do that as well. Okay, once you find the spots, it's on you have control, right? What sounds good to you, or what do you envision it sounding like, right? And you can go from there. So, all right, so we're gonna start at that 100 mark. Um, Snares, you're gonna usually get somewhere around here before you start to uh, lose it. Here is really nice, right? This takes out a lot of the air, a lot of the brightness. You hear that harshness, you can hear the air right from it, but we just want like a tight, kind of dry, right? So bring it up to about 8 or 10K. It may be between snares. Um, but as I mentioned before, Jason Joshua has a very good, or there's a clip of him, right, in which he said, rolling off or cutting off, right, AK on the snare, you're seeing it live, right? Don't be afraid of it. As long as it's not too much to where you start to lose that clarity, right? It starts to sound dull, then fine, right? You can still hear that clearly, right? Bam. Good. So let's take a look. And our volume. And if you ever forget, just bypass it. That's where we were. So turn this stuff back on. We are. All right. All we're hearing are the changes that we are making. So for this, I'm going to use that mid EQ again, and then first, let me try and find problem area so I can set our dip. So let's play it back. Looks like we're in that same area again. So you can hear as that starts to leave, the snare just gets a whole lot tighter. It sounds a whole lot nicer. You're like, I didn't know I needed to do that. Well, right? Especially if you're making Southern style beats and you want those really tight, crisp snares and kicks. This is it. Okay. So let's do that. Now can't remember. I want to say I was in the 200s. Let's claps coming in. Okay, so we got some bass here. I'm not gonna do too much on it. Do a little more. There we go. All right, and then 2K for the clarity in the snare, so we can have it stand out a little bit more. Nice, right? And it actually looks like we're back to where we were. So, so it's the two together. All right, cool. I'm gonna do these because these claps are gonna take me through something. So let me deal with these and then we'll go back. So these are our hats here, and I always say it's the easiest thing to mix. You don't take anything else away here tonight. This is the simplest thing for you to do. All right. So we're gonna do when a high pass, when a low pass, I'm gonna leave it alone. Right? If we need to return volume, that's fine, but we're not gonna do anything else. Right? So that's it. So let's take this. $500 sounds about good. And just to kind of show you guys, a lot of times, again, everything can cause an issue at some point, right? Even that, okay? And not just saying by itself because the volume's low, but if that's going, right, and when that's playing, and when the snare was playing, right, when the kick was playing, all of that could start to build up, and you could be like, where's this coming from, right? And it's just a buildup of things left uh, untreated, right? Didn't solve that. So again, clear it out, right? Get to the point where you can kind of hear it's there, right? Maybe take your headphones or something, go back listen. But there's some bass, right? Low end in this. All we want to do is push in till we lose that, then no more, right? You lose that, that's it, right? You start going too far, then it starts sounding really thin, really weak, right? So, for the hats, usually when you get over to like the 550, 600 hertz range, you're gonna hear it clear as day. As soon as you start getting over to that area, you'll hear that kind of low end, almost sounds kind of, I guess you could say kind of hollow to an extent, or maybe a little airy even though that wouldn't be the term we would use for like low end. But once you hear that leave from the hats, done. Okay, they got a really clean sounding hat here, and then we do a low pass. And um, again, push in, right? Start losing that clarity. It's time to go back. Okay, so boom. Now, typically, I'll either use 15K or 12K to roll off the hats. Okay, as you can see here, we're in the 15K area. Once we start getting over to 12, we start cutting into it. Some sounds you can get over into 12K, and what we're doing here, and why it's important, is without it, okay, this we're bringing in that harshness. Let me. Can you hear that when it hits? When we cut that out, now you're not hearing like the hissing and things like that, right? So again, imagine you're performing or you got someone who bought the beat from you, whatever, right? And they go and they put it on big speakers to go perform at some kind of event, and they go to turn it up. Would you rather hear that, or would you rather hear that? Because that's what you're gonna get, right? So some people may feel like, oh, I need to come over here, and they do the shelf thing and they all of this. Mm-mm. You want, find that sweet spot, find that fundamental, okay, and then boost it. But the hats are so energetic to begin with, you don't really need to boost it. If anything, like after I do it, I'm like, that hat is still kind of piercing, right? But I don't like boosting the hats. The only exception I've made, you have a ride cymbal, because you're not even over here anymore. You're somewhere like over here. So if you want to kind of boost it, right, and get it a little more in the mix, go for it, right? But usually over here, I don't like to play with this, right? This gets out of control like that. What you'll learn is you don't really need to do anything to it. Just that. That's it. And if you lost some volume, return and you're done. And that's literally all we're gonna do here. Okay, pushed up about as far as we can get. The only other option we have is 750. So yeah, we'll be cutting into this, right? So I would rather keep that, and then let's set this to 15, right? Boom, done. Check our volume. Our volume's where it's at. Oh, sorry, didn't even have it on. Far. Can you hear that? It sounds thin now. All right. So boom, we're done. Let's put a little volume back in. We did lose some. All right. And then what are we gonna do? A copy. All of these are a symbol of some type, right? So I felt like I just copied that onto itself. I did. I dropped it here. But okay. So let's take this one. All right. Now the only thing we may or may not have to adjust is this, right? This, chances are, it's going to be the same thing, right? So we don't want to push too far. Minus 15 is fine. It's like perfect. All right. But if you just feel like you need to, maybe it's a little too energetic, that minus 12 would do the trick. So again, we're gonna leave that here where it's at. Already tell me I just did something. Right. So we're already at minus 21. Don't need to do anything. All right, so let's also take this and over. All right, so we could always double check. I like this one. Looks like somebody already kind of did work for us here. But that high end, they did kind of looks like they put a like a low shelf to it. But we just want to roll that off. All right, and that 15K, so that'll kind of get into where they kind of put the shelf, and we're just gonna so we're just gonna get rid of that. All right, boom, double check. We're pretty much same area. If we just gotta be go and put a little bit more in there. So back to your adding. Don't get me wrong, I do it sometimes. It just depends. And then we have craft symbol. What are we gonna do? Sober. Here we are. And again, we can double check here. Right, we'll push this up to it's like almost in the 500 area. Again, we would low pass and right at 15K. This does enough to take out the air, takes out that brightness, the harshness. All right, so when this thing is being turned up, problem. Okay, volume's good. And so with at least our drums here, right? The other stuff that's coming in. Right, bam. Not done yet. Let's take you. Right. I like to keep the drum bus for drums. I don't put claps on the drum bus. You ever seen hands on a drum set before? Don't do it, people. As tempting as it is, don't do it. Don't do it, all right? I don't want to. I don't want to see it. I don't want to read about it. All right. Drummer has hands on a drum set. Police are trying to figure out whose hands they are. They belong to. Hey, we don't want to get that. All right. So let's go into our claps here. There's 3 of them. Sigma, what were you thinking, man? All right. So let's start with this one. So let's just go in and listen. All right. Let's take it to 50. Actually, this doesn't sound bad. It sounds perfect. So let's do that because don't forget, so I have this. Now, see how nice that sounds? I love layering stuff. It just works. So at about 8, kind of loose tail end of this, which not too bad. We got some other stuff going on here. So let's run in that 8K. If I feel like, maybe I'm missing it or something, which I don't think so, then I can come back and move it to -10. -8 sounds good to me. Let's return it. Okay. Let's take our MIDI EQ. Now you can see we already rolled off up to 500, so we already know that this EQ only goes up to 100 on the low end and then starts at 3K. You could take that and then just go somewhere, but my thing is you still need to find problem areas and stuff like that as well. I just did the same thing I said I wasn't gonna. They're all like right next to each other, so it's easy to. All right, let's turn this up. $700. A nice little tighter clap, right? All right, and then let's see if we can. I might like it. But for this, because yeah, why not? Not. So we won't do too much on it though. It's already got more of the high end that we want, just a little bit, just a little bit. That. Let's take a look. All right, that should about do it. Let's go to our next one. I'm gonna go back to 250. Let's roll this off at 10. Right? So I'll blending these later. Go into here. And I don't really want to do anything with this because we have this. So we don't need to make a boost over here. I'm happy with that. Lost a little volume. Okay. Last. You're not going to be the. This will probably be the one we. I got an idea for that. All right, so let's go. Okay. That'll be fine since these will feel that more of the going sound from this and not these. $500. Fine. where we are, right? From here, we can blend these a little better. We'll do that at the end. And then we'll I have these all routed, okay? And then if we need to do, right? So that should conclude at least the drums, all right? I had to put in quotes because the claps, the hands are not included on the drum set, all right, people? So what we're gonna do now is come over here to our drum bus. And so you may be thinking, since we clean things and we shape things, some things got cut out, whatever, that just doesn't sound as good as when nothing was done. There's a reason for that, especially when we were taking out the harshness and, stuff like that, right? So what we're gonna do here is this is where our saturation comes in. A bus track is kind of like what it sounds like. It's a bus, okay? Kids get on the bus, people get on the bus, and the bus takes everybody to a particular destination. In this case, that'll be over to our other bus, right? They have to do a transfer, all right, and get onto another bus, which is going to be our mixed bus, right? But while they're on this bus, any rules that bus driver has, all the people on that riding that bus have to adhere to those rules, right? So what we do here is going to apply to everything else, right? So instead of going to add saturation, to every single individual track, right, for the drums, we just create a bus and then we put the saturation here, and they're all gonna fall and adhere to the parameters that we set. Likewise with our compression. So what I like to do on the individual tracks, I just like to clean it. Compression, that may be you may find yourself using it on an individual track for your drums. It happens, right? And it just depends on why you're doing it, you're trying to achieve, right? So as far as the basics of it goes, we use compression to close the dynamic range, okay? Peaks and the valleys, okay? And bring it closer together, right? In the same breath, you have to return the volume, right? So what you get quieter peaks, okay? But you get louder valleys because the volume has to come back up, right? So what this will end up doing is give more consistency across whatever's playing, a piano, whatever, right? Piano is very complicated. You got bass notes, whatever, right? But some of those notes are not going to be playing at the same volume or close to the same consistency depending on how you play. Maybe you played softer, right? Versus, more of a hard, playing style. So you got it for that. But you can also use compression to essentially, or even an expander, because it works the opposite of compression, right? But the way you set the parameters on a compressor could allow you to kind of achieve the same thing, in which you can set the attack time, right, which is in milliseconds, longer. So the more time you set on the attack, the longer it takes for the compressor to fully start compressing the sound that's gone over the threshold, right? So what it'll do is it'll skip over a little bit, right? Or it'll start, but it'll be like a slope. And by the time it reaches that attack time you have set, then it does its full compression. So what you can get is, right, you want to leave some of the transients in the beginning, like you want a kick or a snare. It's a bit more punchy, that hits harder. You can use compression like that and set the parameters, right, to actually shape that sound, and kind of leave the beginning that transient area of the sound, and then it'll start to compress the other stuff. And so what you end up doing in that case, it's almost it's like an expander, right? And so because you're leaving the peaks alone, basically, right? You're actually creating less of a gap in the dynamic range and actually creating more of a gap, right? And so you can get something like that, and so you can get your kick to punch a little harder or something. Um, that's what you're looking for. Now, on an individual track, if you're trying to do something like that, that's fine because that particular sound needs to be, it needs that special attention, right? If everything sounds good in the way you want it already, then what we're gonna do here is everybody's gonna get the same treatment, right? If anything is going over this threshold, we're pushing you down to the ground, pal. Like, just kicking the door. We don't care who it is. Get on the ground, just whoosh, mashing stuff. All right. So let's start with the saturation. We'll do that first. So, come on, come on. I keep seeing tape echo. That's the delay, and it's this. So, all right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our tape source here, and we're gonna actually drive this. Okay. Go back. So let's turn it up, and then start to pass this. Right. You start getting over here. We'll start to slowly distort the sound. Right. It's not like digital distortion. Right. It's a subtle distortion. Right, which we call saturation, and it this. All right. So what saturation does is, um, in layman's terms, we're just adding more energy to the signal. Okay. In this case, all of our drum sounds are being driven right into this machine, and what it's doing is it's creating more energy. Okay. So what that translates into is you get warmth in the lower end, you get the upper harmonics right in the high end. But what's going on is that we're just exciting the sound. Got an exciter? Yeah, it's the same thing. Same thing. All we're doing is we're driving more energy in, okay, and we're making it more energetic. Energetic. Now saturation you can pretty much use on anything. You got a piano, you got a synth, you got whatever. You want to drive more sound into it, you got a bass, you want to put saturation on it, do it. It's not bad, right? It's not bad at all. All right, all it's gonna do is create more energy. Okay, works great on bass. All right, especially you're playing with 808s and things like that. Saturation will make it more energetic. All right, so that means tighter rumbles. All right, that means you're gonna get that shaking feeling. It's gonna just grrr, right, because we're adding more energy, and we're driving the signal, right? That noise to signal ratio. We're affecting this right through this, and so we're creating a more like distorted sound, kind of, but it's not that digital distortion distorted where it's just like and it's just like you know harsh. This is more subtle, and then the more we drive it, yes, it will indeed get harsh, right? It can really get harsh, right? But we're not doing that. We're just doing it enough. Too much there. So usually, especially if you have the waves, what is it, the J37? Okay, you'll have a light here. All right, as long as that light doesn't come on, right, that red light, you're fine. So even if it slams, right, just watch it for a second. As long as that light doesn't come on, it's fine. Okay, the light coming on means that's it. Like that was all the headroom. That's literally what this is, right? Because this meter's in VU, right, which is an on average. It's not DBFS. It's not full scale. It's not the super accurate meters that we have now. We have an on average. So just because it was here, okay, doesn't mean it's actually hitting at zero. It's average. Sometimes it's hitting zero, but sometimes it might be hitting -1 or -2, and sometimes it might be hitting +1, +2. You don't know. We just know the average, right, is zero. So, from the way that they set this and the math and all that went into it, they actually realized, hey, zero isn't actually zero. So we actually have more room before you actually hit zero, right? That's what this is. So if you're ever watching a VU meter and it flips over into the red, that's fine. As long as that light doesn't come on, yeah, it works. It works on. I'm telling you now. Some of y'all are like, man, how does that sound so clean and it's like so sharp? Make sure that you can see when we drive the signal, we're turning up the volume. Make sure you take the output and return the volume back where you had it. And so all you're gonna hear is the changes that you made. That's that's basically it. All right. Um, I won't use it on. I'm gonna use it on these. These are. I like how these are, but definitely on our bass, we're definitely gonna use it. So I'll leave it there. Right. But we will. So we got saturation into our drums, and so very subtly. It's not a lot. It's not a big whoosh, but adds just enough energy to where the drums kind of cut through the rest of stuff playing. It sits out front just a little bit more. It's a little more present now. Okay. You're not gonna hear it with the claps because it's not running in here, but could have sworn that was. There we go. That's it. That's it. It's just adding a little bit more energy to it. And we're gonna combine that with the compression. Talked about that and how that works. And so we're now going to set that up. All right. So for compression on a drum bus, 10 to 1 is a good starting point. We don't have 10. I'm going to use 12. All right. So let's give it a faster attack. That is okay. Now you can see we lost some volume here, so we're going to return that. All right, how do we set the attack and release? You can, a good starting point is 3 milliseconds for the attack. And in this case, for the drum bus, okay, that is good because we're trying to tame the peaks. Okay, it doesn't have to be, at 1 millisecond or the lowest you can get it. 3 is still fine. Still picking that stuff up. Okay. Once you start getting to like 5 or 6 milliseconds, you'll start letting some of the transients through. Again, if that was on an individual track, we might play with that, right? But for this, we want to close that range. We do want to catch those peaks and we want to push them down. Okay, so we're going with that faster time. Then the release, okay, is how long it takes for the compressor to disengage once the sound goes below the threshold we have set, right? So a good way to do this is you can watch your meter, you can watch the bar, right? You may have a bar with the red meter that comes through, right? And what we're looking for is as the drums are playing or as a sound is playing, we want to time it to where when that sound stops playing, the compressor turns off. Okay? See what this time is? That's how you find it. Okay? Now, a lot of times they'll say 100 milliseconds is a good starting place and you could start there. You have something like this, you can't see that. So how do we know, right? We'll keep adjusting the release time till when the sounds, which is going to be our like kick and snare, right? Those louder sounds, when they dip under the compressor, the needle returns back to 0. Okay? So, see, that's too slow. And what's going to happen is sounds like your hats that don't even cross over the threshold are going to continue to receive compression, and we don't want that, right? It's going to end up sounding unnatural. So I'm going to keep speeding this up. Boom. Right? Back. Right? That kick hits, the needle moves, and it goes back, right? And it's on. So everything else is playing. So we can catch those. We're just trying to catch the peaks, okay? We're not worried about everything else in the middle or nothing like that, okay? That's what you want to see. You want to see it dancing. All right? So, bam, we got that. And then we can check, which we already did, right? When you're doing the compression, you're gonna lose the volume. So return the volume. That's that 2-part thing. And so we've now made the louder parts, right, quieter. And then we had to bring it back up to the same volume. And So with that, we bring up the valleys. And so now you'll notice those quieter sounds like the hats, the cymbals sound a little more even and up there to be heard with the kick and the snare. Not by that much, but it is a little more present, right? Okay, so with the two together, okay, we get drums that sit a little bit more in front of everything in the mix. Okay, boom, that's it. So what I see a lot of people doing is they're trying to do things that take a few steps to achieve, and they're trying to do it right out the gate. They're trying to take the kick and they're trying to make the kick sound like it's a master kick, or they're trying to take the snare, right? That's too far ahead, right? And so you'll end up kind of messing things up as you go, right? So that's it. So it might have sounded a little bit more quieter as we cleaned everything up and whatnot. And then we go here and we put more energy and we make it more excited. But now we don't have that high, those harsh frequencies coming out in that stuff, or you know, we don't have too much of the low end in the kick and things like that, right? So after giving everything its own space, its own place, and you know, doing some boosting, doing some cutting, this is now what we have. Okay, and we're still not done. Once we finish this stuff, we still got to blend it all together, right? So you got to trust the process on this. All right. So over. Ah, see that. Here. All this is good. If you want, you can leave it at 10. It's not that bad. I mean, in general, it's not bringing out like any real harshness. Okay, all we're doing is making sure whatever is there, right? We clear it out, because again, you have things that live in that space, and the more we clear this out from all of our sounds, the better this is going to translate into your music. Okay, so when everything starts playing and they're like, man, everything just like pops out, right? We got to do that work. We got to do that work and make these things pop out, stand out, have its own place, right? You got a band on stage. The conductor's gotta, you know, you over here, over here. Okay, it's gotta put everybody where they need to go. All right, because they know what this is gonna do, the sound. So everyone's got their own little position and where they're gonna be, and bam, then you guys play, and it's a masterpiece, right? Somebody record from their phone, it just sounds beautiful together, right? So. Check out this mid. Sorry. Oh, really? I could have sworn we. I don't know. What is FL trying to do to me right now? Definitely too loud. We fixed this already, but hey, what do I know? So it's fine. Let's go in here. I'm looking down at it. I'm like, these two should be closer together. This thing is like. Definitely sounds like this. This is nice. This, you can kind of hear it, but it doesn't pop out till you get right here. So, take that 700. Right? Again, finding that hollow, boxy area and cutting it is always going to tighten up the sound, right? Now you go into, like, I didn't know it could sound that good, right? Again, going in here and doing this work is what's gonna make it stand. Like, it's gonna speak for itself. When they listen to it, they're like, I don't know what you did, but this is clean, right? So, now here for the I'm not gonna boost any. Don't, not from this sound. I don't want bass from there or anything, especially in this, because we know this is gonna be coming through here anyway. Okay, and more specifically, here, this is probably where it sounds like the best, and then here we start getting kind of boxy sound, and then here we start getting clarity, right? The bass in this, we don't want that. Okay? And then again, usually a lot of times when you get over here to that 200, um, range, some bass tend to sound muddy here, or even might have a boxy kind of sound to it. And so actually dropping that tightens up your bass, right? The kick hits, the bass hits, and it just sounds like it sits together so well. How? Tighten it, right? So you can just hear it. It just kind of pops up right there. In this area, it's just, and I'm not saying it's gonna be all the time, but if, especially if you have like a DX oscillator, let's say let's leave this in the middle here, right? As that's playing, do we have? I guess I can do. Let's just find a home. Okay, so we can see the two areas. This is over in like the 100s. Okay, so it doesn't kind of get over there. I guess it could, but yeah, this tends to not sound as good, right? So by cutting into it, right, rather than leaving that, see how it tightens it up? Bass. We're not trying to hear bass. We want to feel bass. So once you get over there, right, and you start to hear that, you don't do a major nothing. Just a little bit. 2 dB is all it needs. All it's gonna do is it makes it seem like it sits behind the kit. Right? Right? Whereas if that was right now, it starts kind of interfering with the kit doing things, right? So dropping it, right? Now it sounds like okay, when the bass plays, the kick still stands out in the front, and then I can still feel the rumble from the bass, and you can still hear it a little bit, somewhat audible, right? That's how bass is. It's not super audible. It's not, not, we're not all up here, right? We're down here, right? And so by cutting into that, you ever feel like you have an issue and that bass just ain't sitting right? There, right there, to do it every time, all right? Right? Like it just works. It sounds so beautiful. Let's get rid of. Yeah, you can even take a 3x oscillator, right? And you can have a really nice sounding bass, right? And have it sit and be perfect, all right? Nice. It'll sit in the mix just as well as anything else you can pick up. Trust me, I've used that time, still use it sometimes. I'm trying to get better with the bass guitar, right? I don't have an actual bass guitar. You know, native instruments taking care of me. So trying to get better with my skills. The skills.
Legion of Tunes.
Yeah, so I like bass guitars. I can't play them. So a lot of days, sometimes late nights, just watching video after video after video of people just playing the guitar, learning stuff, theory, like on guitar, right? So that is kind of helped. Tend to play a little differently than we think, right? Especially if you have your uh, let's say we're in D minor, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, drop it an octave, and they tend to swing. They like that um that like 5 to 1, 1 to 5. Right? Or you can go like 5 to 1 and then do like a 2 3 or something, anything, right? Right? And you can kind of play it from there. But they like this a lot. Right? And it makes for good arpeggios as well, right? Another one. So you can do 5 1 5 1. And I'm just bouncing between the 5 and the 1 in the scale. It's a melody, right? Right? Free game. Free game. Long time watching, and a lot of times they're just playing stuff and not saying anything, and then somebody who's kind enough to kind of explain, right? Hey, you got to get some better bass melodies, all right, for all you beginning guitarists. And I'm like, ooh, I don't have one. But I got something close. I'm listening. Oh, bam, in there. Yo, show, appreciate the follow. How you doing this evening, man? Uh-oh, hold on. Probably because I got you. All right, so let's go back to this bad boy. So, right here, 2K, I'm getting clarity. Right? It's not like this. And this will probably sound a little different. But right here, it pops out. Even with this being at its loudest, right? And with it playing, there's nothing like popping out or like trying to hurt my ears or nothing like that, alright? So this is that area where we find that clarity. And so all we want to do now is just up till we hear a little something. That's it. Take a look. Definitely gain some volume. Let's bring that volume back down. Edit. So one thing you notice is as this is playing, sometimes it's not consistently hitting our -18 mark. In this case, then try using compression to get a little more consistency out of this. So every time the sound hits, you can hear it just as well as maybe the first note or the last note, right? Whatever one is peaking at the level that we want it. Okay, so you said chilling, man, letting this gym with me. Hey, man, I'm scared to go back. But yeah, man, I definitely understand your pain. At least they at least got the massage chair. I don't know what gym you're at, but if they got one of them. Make sure you use it. Make sure you use it, man. Back, your arms, your legs, all of that stuff. I used to almost fall asleep, man. You guys definitely check out Show. He is a music artist. All right, he makes his own tracks, and I'm about to say his own beats. He does make his own beats, but he's still in his learning process. But eventually, y'all hear it. You be like, you made the beat and you rapped over it. Exactly. All right, so let's see if we can. Let's put the attack down a little bit more. See if I can get. Okay. We got our release. And let's see if we drive this, if we can get something. I think that'll work. Let's take this down. Why is it? Oh, it's at the end of the song. It's fading out. I was like, why is it so quiet? Not even down there yet. Okay, so it's that last. You know what? We can maybe go into. Yeah, it's possible. It could be. We really have to do that though. That's crazy. I'm happy with that. That's not too. That's not too bad. Might have been the way they just recorded this sound, if I'm being honest. Kind of makes me nervous. Let me try. Let's push it a little bit more. Scary. See if we can nail it. Seems like it kind of drops a little bit, but it's still here. Let's see. I mean, I can still hear it, so let's roll with that. It's not too bad like it was in the beginning. Try something here. See, that's what we like to see. All right, so another thing, in addition with saturation, because again we're driving that signal to the point. Once you get there, it kind of starts to act as a limiter. Okay? So if you notice, it's like that's it. That's the wall. Okay. It's not even letting anything like past that. Okay. So again, like I said, saturation good on anything. It does bring more energy into it as well. And then there's also that other functioning as kind of like a limiter. Don't use it as a limiter, but it kind of starts to take on that responsibility, right? Because you are driving this into the source, and you are pushing, trying to push it past that zero threshold, right? So it kind of starts to create all, and boom, a little better consistency there, and then with our, we should be able to tame this actually. So it's a win-win there. Even when that lower note hits, it's up there, and that's all I could ask for. So I wear a lot of hats, as you should, man. Never know what's gonna happen either, you know. I was like, I didn't know you had that hat. You like, well, I was saving it for a rainy day. I got a lot of these bad boys. All right, so we got the consistency that we're looking for, and bam, we can move on to our next sound. It's gonna be this, and we're blending these two together. So let's take. Let's take this. Okay, we cut into the low end on that. This, I don't mind if we lose a little bit of it. If you want to keep it on the safe route, we could do this because we're going to end up dropping some frequencies over here anyway, right? But again, because we're layering this, yeah, if you cut into this a little bit and it loses some of that clarity, it's fine because we're only wanting that low end, right? So that's what we're eventually going to end up doing. So, but I'll take it back to 8K, all right? I want to say it was -21. Got you. All right, so let's take this and we're gonna sweep again. Start looking for that stuff. So there's that hollow region right there, and we're just gonna turn that down, tighten that sound up against. Okay, makes it sound a whole lot cleaner coming through, and then somewhere down here we found some of the bass in that, right? So we cut off at like 150, so it's perfect. We can start at 200, and we don't need to boost it a whole lot. We're not trying to make it super bassy, but again, just to make it a little more present. We know in our kick and our snare and stuff, we've kind of been cutting over in this area and stuff like that. So again, when all this starts playing, it allows for this to kind of peek out, pop through, and it's unaffected, right? And we'll return our volume. Alright, so I'm gonna put one more of these on here, and the reason being we have one place in which we can actually create a dip. The others are peaks, so all we can do is boost. What I want to do is go over to that 2K area where we boosted this sound, right? And so to make sure that these play nice together, yep. Also here, so now these two sounds sound like one sound. Okay, so by forcing those frequencies and that lower sound to play in the background, you don't even really hear it, right? And so it allows these two to kind of blend together, right? And so somebody thinks you found the perfect sound. No, you made the perfect sound. All right, give yourself a pat on the back. Let's see. Back down to -21. Okay. Right, when everything else starts coming in. Now it's starting to come together, right? Now the drums are kind of like popping out, right? Now we have the classic meter here, but now everything starts to stand out and have its own space, right? But in the beginning, you were probably doubting it, right? You were doubting what it sounded like. You wanted to go back and restart over and all that, but you gotta trust that once you get done with it all, that you're gonna have the results that you want. So again, our job as mixing engineers, okay, we gotta do the work. We gotta whip it up. All right. Our job is to create a balanced track, not a bass heavy track, not a treble heavy track, not a master track. All right. We're creating a mix, and that mix needs to be balanced as possible. When it goes mastering, go from there. This is a hip hop track. They go, okay, boost the highs, boost the lows, right? Start doing stuff. Bam. Okay, we can get it finalized there, right? Because now we got this track, or we got the stems, right? And we're looking at everything playing together. Because in mastering, what you do to anything, right? Anything you do on that master track is going to affect the entirety of the track. Okay, we want this thing as clean and consistent, right? We want this batter mixed. We want it right. We want it consistent. So we put it in there, okay, to bake the cake. Eyes, all right, and take the shape that it's supposed to, all right. Then we can start adding all the extra stuff after it comes out, cool off, and start putting frosting, decorate it, make it, look all good, dress it up, right? But in the mix, all we're looking for is balance. We're not trying to achieve anything else, okay? All right, fun part, bass. So let's use this. Take a look here. Eat this. All right, feel bass. Don't really want to hear bass. All right. Majority of melodies that you have playing are going to start from the 1K range and over, right? Bass living there, right? Wanna, what is this, 1.5? 1.5 is fine, okay? It still leaves, right? It starts to curve down. So when these sounds decide they wanna play, okay, they're not fighting with your 808. They're not fighting with your bass, okay? You can still feel that bass and you can still hear that bass. Your bass doesn't need to be at 10K hertz sounding off. It don't. It don't. All right. So we're gonna roll that off, and then we'll work with this. Now, this doesn't seem like there's a lot going on here on the low end, but let me tell you something that you can use. Okay, a high pass on your. At least you can run a shelf, whatever makes you feel better. Okay, maybe you don't want to completely, cut out, but here's I'm about to let you know now. All right, most speakers, shelf speakers, okay, 40 hertz is the lowest it's gonna pick up. Okay, you're not picking up anything lower than that unless you have a sub, good one at that. You're not picking up anything lower than that. So what you can do is, I usually take it over to 32, but as you can see, even as it gets past 20, there's still stuff here. Okay, you can choose. Take it. It's gonna take you right on down to 20. I don't think there's a sub out there, even if you spend like 5,000, that's going below 20. All right, so you can roll this off at 50. Sub frequencies do not need a lot of volume down there for you to get the effect that you want. So this off by lowering the volume, by tapering the volume on those frequencies, you only tighten your. Okay, you only tighten the low end. It could only benefit you. Okay, now bass guitars you're working with, sometimes you may not get anything down here, and I want to say usually to make a cut at like 80, okay, because there's not really too much going down on the low end. If you use a bass guitar, what I like to do and what I have been doing, okay, shh, don't tell anybody. All right, took a page out of the um, old school musicians. Okay, you can layer your bass guitar with synth bass. Okay, so you can get that extra low end. Okay, a lot of Michael Jackson sounds. You hear the bass. It's a bass guitar layered with a synth bass layered with the right. So don't be afraid if you're going to use a bass guitar to layer it with the synth bass. What we've been doing, right? And they're like, man, that bass guitar it's a layer. It's been layered. All right, that's how it works. Okay, so here we are. So you can do that. I usually go choose 32. All right. Then if you want, right? We know where our kick. We boost it like somewhere over here. If you want, okay, you can come here and make a small boost. Again, it does not take much for this to get completely out of control in your speakers, car speakers, whatever, and start creating this uncontrollable rumble. Okay, you don't want that. You want tight bass line, right? Bam. And like I said, with the saturation, by driving that signal and adding more energy into it, you're going to get a more energetic bass. So it doesn't make sense for you to do something like this. And if you are, just a little bit, it'll work wonders for you. All right. So do that. There's that kind of hollow, like muddy area, right? Here to dip there. That's gonna allow that to sit behind your kick, but you're not going to lose any of the feeling. Right? The more I push it down, the more you don't hear it too much anymore, but you'll still feel it, right? But we don't want to push it down like that. Take it down 2-3 dB. That should be enough to bring the kick to the forefront and then allow you to do your thing. Likewise, wherever we boosted the kick in the low end, we need to also take a dip there. You need to have its own space and its own place, and the bass doesn't need to be over here messing with the kick. You got your own little spot. We sat there and made all that room for you. Get on over there, right? So now kick hits. The kick is present. It's up forward. It's up front and in your face. And then the bass, as it rumbles, right? And you hear that through the speakers. It's keeping up with your kick just as loud, right? So you don't need to do this, because now you're drowning out your kick. You can't hear it. Okay. Want that. Alright, so let's now go and exactly what we were getting ready to do. We use these. So have options. Again, we could roll it off here at 50. Okay. If you feel like that's not, maybe it's doing a little too much, and again, I can't see the slope on this thing. Trying to see if I can find something, see what that curve looks like. But what you could do, again, if you don't want to roll off, you can do a shelf. Take it over to 60 and drop it just a little bit. Okay. Just want that kick. Want it to be heard, and then let the bass take those sub frequencies. All right, that's the trade-off. All right, if we didn't have this bass, then I wouldn't have cut off the low end, the thump out of the kick. I would have kept that so we have that low end filled up, right? Otherwise, it's going to feel like something missing, right? So since we have this, that's the trade-off. So we cut out the thump from the kick so we can let the bass have it, and then whenever our kick hits, our bass plays, that's a layering in itself, and you gotta get things to blend, or else it's not going to sound like a layer anymore, right? And problems. Two ways you can do it. Again, hold off 1.5, just turn it back all the way down. Lost some volume. We were at -12. Let's return that volume. Let's take our mid EQ and those problematic areas. We're gonna start looking for them. Sounds like to me, or this area, the 300. So let's set that to 300 and just hear how much tighter that bass just got just doing that. need to boost anything or anything like that. We just need to return our volume. Alright. Now, the bass seems to be pretty consistent. But if you want, hey, that was the wrong one. Synth bass, good starting point is 6-1. We don't have a 6-1, so we're going to use a more aggressive version. But when you're trying to get that consistency, gotta come down on it. All right. So now it's more consistent, right? And it's playing and it's not that much of a gap. If some of the lower notes or the less energetic notes come in, okay, we're more consistent. That's all we're looking for. Yo, Octavius in the building. Appreciate you stopping by, man. And I want to say I appreciate the sub, man. How you doing this evening? I went to go start up my stream. I was like, he didn't waste any time with that. But definitely appreciate it, man. I hope you're doing well. Do you plan on streaming over here, or are you still gonna be over on DLive? Yes, I guess it don't matter. I can still say Octavius. You may wanna go and follow him. Not only does he put in work in the kitchen, this dude cooking all kinds of stuff, but he's a master with the cellular technology. All right, this dude got meters and programs and setting up Wi-Fi for people and all that. Like, if you just wanna nerd out, just look at some stuff, right? Look at some sim chips and things that he has. This is the guy right here. I walked into his stream. I said, "This is different," and I sat there and I watched and I was like, you know what? This guy's pretty cool. Started talking to him, chatting, and as we started talking, you know, kind of started realizing some of what I do and some of what he do is kind of similar in a way. So definitely check him out, and again, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Alright, so we got our bass. Now we got 2 more sounds here, and then once we get that together, we can start doing some panning and messing with our faders. And then what I want to do is put some final touches on the mix bus, and I have a nice little new tool for that. It's kind of like a all-in-one, and so basically the same things that I'm doing in there, you could do with individual tools, EQ, compression, right? It's pretty much the same thing, but it is a channel strip, and I love it. I love it, man. So let's get these. Alright, as usual, always, we're gonna high pass and we're gonna low pass frequencies. Alright, as much space as we can. Right there, it's too far. So it's making the sound become thin. So, flip back. Right here, we lose some of the air, some of the harshness that's in that sound. like it. Let's keep it there. Right before and after. Okay, great. So take our mid EQ here. Oh, I already have this up. If I could probably pump this up a little more. We get like a ringing. Okay, this stuff, not good, right? We would go in here and we would kill that, all right? Because when you come in, you want to boost that, okay? You want it to sound nice, okay? When you start getting frequencies like that, right, where it just starts having this ringing, persistent ringing, that's no good. And with sounds like this, because there's reverb and things like that on there, you're gonna find a lot of spots like that potentially, right? If it doesn't sound like that, it doesn't just jump out at you, it's safe, okay? Safe, right? It's not ringing. Right here's a little bit of a ringing, and then this whole area right here, right? So we would definitely drop that. Got some ringing here too. What's gonna end up happening is when I go and we create that dip, because the way that band's gonna work, it's gonna pick that all up. The rest of this is fine, right? So we don't have to worry about that. And we're gonna come in here. Right? That area where I started to kind of pick that up, like, we probably gonna get some ringing there if I could push this higher. Okay, so in that 700 area, we're gonna turn this back down. Drop it. All right. I like this area here. Get a lot of clarity. I don't want to do too much here. Let's leave it on 3. And by the way, these numbers have nothing to do with the decibels. So yeah, if you want to add more confusion to the analog gear, you can't even say I boosted this by 4 dB or 3 dB. That's not that's not what these are for. I don't know. Maybe they could explain is what this is in. Like I don't know, but I found out that has nothing to do with the decibels. I'm like, yeah, I've been thinking I've been doing that, but pushing it here kind of raises it more like 2 dB. Kind of strange, and then it kind of just like exponentially gets out of control. So I can't really tell you what that is, right? Or what formula that might be on or something, but we just know turn it. If we start hearing the change we want, how far that may go. So let's okay, minus 24 is where we were at. I got a bit of a spike. Set pitch shifter. No, I'm not using a pitch shifter. Yeah, it really just adds, like if you just didn't want to know, these are like the perfect, they're like the perfect tools because you're not gonna know. You're not gonna know. Like here, it's easy to kind of like look. I could tell where you know things are like bright, where there's more energy. So it's like easy for me to go, oh, this is a sweet spot over here because I can see where that energy is. Right. I know there's not gonna be anything here. It's not even lighting up. Right. But once I get over here, I know. Right. It's gonna point that stuff out. Um, then of course I can see how far I'm taking this, right? I can see, how narrow or wide my queue is. This, you don't get to see none of that. None of it. They just go, here's that's it. If they took a bunch of people, put them in a room, and this is all they had, and they said, "We're gonna take from Dave Chappelle here, all right? And mix this track down, right, in exchange for your freedom." A lot of y'all be trapped because all you have is your ears to like, you know, like it better be balanced. Like that's all you have to go on. Like none of this gives you any real indication on like what's going on. Can't see the cues. You can't see the type of band that it's using. You can't see any of that. All you can do is listen and go, sounds about right, or that sounds about wrong, and then work from there. That's all you have. You're also limited in your options. I'd say this is actually easier than, using the more like digital EQs, right? The newer is why would you boost that 101? Like, just certain things just and we're notorious for it, right? We'll just kind of swing it over there and it's like 557. It's like I don't know, just a slight, but here you can only go these are your only options. You can only boost right here. You can't turn anything down. You can only turn down here. You can't turn anything up. Like you're limited in your options, and it's like you gotta make do what you have, right? So you better make your next move your best move, right? So after a few days of like messing with it, and you can even go here, right? And it'll link you to a YouTube video, and they'll be happy to break down.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Matt.
All the functionalities of it, right? Because everyone's not familiar with this stuff. So, boom, give a quick tutorial on the parameters, and then you're like, okay, cool, bam, I got it. And then go on, play with it for a little bit. Okay, I like how this stuff sounds. Okay, da 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 da, bam. And then next thing you know, I think I work faster this way just because, like I said, I'm limited on the options and what I could do. So it's like, all right, grab this instead of this because I know the range on this and I know the range. Like, I don't know what it is, but I've gotten a lot faster. I would say. Yes, I do. Let's see. Exactly. Explosions, man. Love to see it. You love to see it. All right, let's go. We got this thing just about nailed here. What I wanted to do was, we already have it. So not too much. Let's do. That'll work. A little faster. 4 to 1 is fine. Our volume back. All right, so now we got more consistency here. Note plays. Oh, did I just swing that? I am fine with that. And then one last little sound that pops in here. Right. It's just a little something that just kind of comes in at the end of the like. Right. It's a little something for the ear, right? So let's take this. This is probably for you guys. I'm so sorry. Stuck here with me. You're stuck here. Let's get this one. Try and do it as fast as possible, all right? Four. Okay. It's 24, so we lost some volume. Okay. Right here. So we get that hollow boxy area. We're just gonna cut into that a little more. Works for me. And then we have this high part here, or higher part. Let's see if we can thing turned up. Call myself working fast. So up until about 2. That's here. What we're gonna do is I'm going to boost here, but instead bring another one. Then set that to 1.5, and we're gonna create a. All right, next one, 1.5, and we're gonna create a dip here. I think what I'll do is, if I turn that up, I'm gonna turn the lower part up too. Let us take this right here. Could we get? So I wanna, yeah, let's do that. A bit more. Dang, there we go. All right, so we gotta turn it back down. All right. Back. What then? No, I want to drop it because I want it to be in the background. It's a background sound, so that's not that bad. So I'll tell you what. Third one. They're definitely looking at me crazy now. All right, so let's take. See if we can drop it like this and make it a little more consistent. bit more. I'll take that. I'll take it. I will take it. Let's actually get rid of that. Oh, I feel like I got rid of it. What am I doing right now? All right, hold on. Let's go back. I thought I was getting rid of the compressor, and somehow I got rid of the compressor and the third EQ. Oh, I probably overrode it, and I thought I was getting rid of the compressor. It's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Let's back up. Okay, a little bit more there. Okay. Up a little more. There we go. That was it. That was it. Okay. So I'm gonna route these here. Let's sound like you're outside of the concert. Claps. Where are the claps? Alright, so this is our plate reverb, and we're going to adjust the decay time. 1.2 is fine. I want this out of the bass as much as possible. I'm gonna put a little pre-delay on it. And then let's take this out of the signal and have it mixed. And let's blend this in a little bit more. Now, it sounds terrible, doesn't it? It sounds terrible. See, when you were creating it, it sounded fine. You were like, it doesn't need any reverb. And then you put it on there and you take it off for a split second and your ears just messes up your ears, man. You're like, where did the depth go? What happened to the... For the first time I did that, I was like, I really just been making beats like this? Like, yeah, you have. I don't make a separate track for the reverb, so it's gonna over where our instruments are, and essentially put our drums and our instruments in the same room, and we do not put our bass in there because we want that really clean, right? Apparently, I forgot about this. It comes in the second half of the verse. This thing right here. But no problem, easy fix. Alright. See. Let's say, ooh, perfect. That right there, perfect. Let's see, 6. Oh no, hold on. Okay, so 8 minus 12. And seems like we're still there. So we don't need to do anything there. Let's yeah. I actually like that sound right there. As usual. Let's drop that. And I think I'm gonna leave it exactly like that. Let's make sure we okay. The volume is where it needs to be. So at that point, it's over. Okay. All right. Now that all of that is done, I was like, we made it. I spoke too soon. Let's. Whoa. Alright, so now that we have everything mixed together, right? I can easily turn all of this off, all of the effects we put on. That's what we started with. That's what we started with. From that, so now let's go. We can start messing with these faders. Let's try and blend things in. For every 1 dB that you move your fader is gonna count for 3 decibels in perceived volume. So imagine you dropping your fader by 3 dB. That's a lot of volume you lose, all right? So take it dB by dB until everything starts to blend in, all right? And once you get that blend, it's over. The one thing I definitely want to focus on, as I said earlier, is we had these layers going on. So let's try and get this worked out. Okay. I think 2 will be fine. And then same for here. And I think that is going to see our combined loudness is up here with our snare. In addition, I would like to, I'm gonna keep this one center. I'm going to move this one left. Let's do maybe like 10 on each one. So I'm gonna do 10 to the left on this clap, 10 to the right on this clap. I'm gonna leave this one centered, all right? Just so they're not all in the center there. This has less volume. A lot of these that we rolled off are way past where the snare is. So we have no worries of this conflicting with our snare, okay? We just want to spread it out. take this one about. I'm not gonna make it too much. And that one was kind of. I think that's about 4. Alright, I think that's about as blended as we're gonna end up. And again, where's our target? Between -3, -6. I'll say it again. We're just gonna have a cleaner version of our premix. That's it. Do what you gotta do. Return your volume back always. Gain stage is a must. Alright? Don't be like me. I could literally show you the old me, all right? And it's painful. It's painful to go back and hear that sound. It's painful to hear it, all right? So, yeah. That's pretty much it. And then just to add a little bit. So again, now that you have your track, right? Next, anything we do here now, okay, is going to apply to everything. Okay, if I go boost the lows, everything in the low gets boosted. Bass included, kick included, maybe the snare, like depending on how I do this, right? Same thing here. If you are dealing with someone like an artist and they have vocals, okay, this would be the time for you to go look at their vocals, okay? Where did you find their fundamentals, their sweet spots, right? And then come into your track here and put slight dips, okay? It's not gonna kill it. Put slight dips, and now the vocal will seem like it sits on top of the beat, just like we did with everything else. You gotta give everything its space and everything its place, right? Now you can go and mix the vocals and then route the vocal and the beat to one last bus. That would be your mix bus in that case, okay? You could label this one beat and then have your vocals and whatever else you're gonna do, get all that together and then route the bus for the vocals and the beat into the mix bus, and then go. All right, and it'll fit in there like a charm. All right, so I don't know, do I? Can we? This probably won't even make sense, but I'm gonna play it anyway. No, it's not. Kind of slow though. So they're gonna take forever and a day. That's how you can be. All right. I see how it is. This is to kind of show you. He decided to say something and then these have to be like long vocal tracks or something. 'Cause there's no way. You would think that would have started playing already. Okay, you know what? I didn't want to have to do it. Yeah, that looks like a whole track. That looks like a whole track. But let's see. Let's just have it play. See, and then it just fits over. And you can just turn the volume down a little bit and you'd be alright. It just sits in there. It just sits in there, alright? So, if you got vocals, that's another thing you're gonna do. What we're going to do. Yeah, play. So, once this lights up, we're clipping, okay? Now, it's okay if you see it every once in a blue moon, but we don't want to see it doing that, right? Too much. That's fine for me. Let's turn on the EQ. Yeah, we get like some more clarity here in the highs. I'm not gonna do too much. About 2 dB there. At the 110 hertz range, I won't do too much here either. This is already done. I'm just adding a little more into it. Here, whatever you're needing. This is mid-range, so I don't know. Maybe you want more here, right, to have that kind of standout. In my case, pick it over to that extra region, and I'm gonna drop that maybe. Anybody own Rockets? You know they speakers that scoop out the mids, right? A lot of y'all make bad mixing decisions because there's already a dip in the mids coming out of the speaker. You don't even hear your mid-range. You don't even hear it. But you can create a dip here, because most likely that's what we're going for in the hip-hop genre. Okay, we want to hear more highs, more lows, less mids. Alright, and on this compressor, now this is compressing the entire track, so as you can see, we're getting like a pumping sound. Okay, it's too much. What I like to do is keep it about 1 dB. Once you start getting to like 3, it starts sounding a little different. All right, so again, I just let it do a little bit. All right, just taking those peaks, pushing it down just a little bit. All right, this is already balanced. We're just getting a little bit more out of that, and then make sure we're returning our volume. Always. Yo, Lady Fire, appreciate the follow. How you doing this evening? Finishing up a mix down. Alright, and then as always, this is something I'll come back to tomorrow. Listen again, make any, final adjustments that I need to, and then bounce this bad boy out. It's done, right? That's also oftentimes you'll hear audio engineers tell you there's a 24, 48 hour turnaround time, right? When you send your track in, or if there's like an EP or something, you're gonna have to give them a few days, all right? Because after they do the work, you still gotta come back and listen, right? Especially when you've been listening to music a long time, you'll start getting ear fatigue, start messing with you, decisions you make. right? Uh, the louder you listen to music over a period of time, the faster the fatigue is going to set in. Okay, so you like making music with the volume up really high, that's all fine. But 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour later, you need to go let your ears decompress, okay? Give it like 30 minutes at the minimum, all right? Find a quiet place, something. Go outside, feel the breeze, hear the birds chirp, something, right? Take care of your ears. Those are your money makers. That's how you make your decisions. If you can't hear it, you're not making no money. You're not making it. All right. Appreciate the lemons, Lady Fire. Do you stream at all? Thank you for stopping by. But yeah, once you get done, like I'm not even gonna listen to this until tomorrow. Or like if I do, it'll just be just a vibe to it, but not to make any other decisions, right? And we can still do a little bit here. I kind of just skipped out after this clap thing, didn't we? But we can still do some other things here. So let's do it. All right. So I'm going to do some more panning. Let's say it's this one. It's this one. I went to the left a little bit. Right here. This is actually widen that one. Alright. Now this is fine. Center, I'm actually gonna drag this into mono. Okay, so you're gonna hear the sound. Okay, so now that we got everything balanced out with EQ and all that, now we still gotta work with the speaker, right? We can't have everything in the center of the stereo field. So this is where the panning, this is where the widening comes in. So everything is not sitting on top of each other. All right. So the main things you want to keep centered are going to be your kick, your snare, your bass, the main melody, and if you have it, vocals. Okay, those are going to be center. Everything else, it's got to move around. It's got to go somewhere. All right. So move this to the right. No, I have this one and move this over to the left. And I'm doing this about 25%. And this, I'll put widen this about 50. Whenever you're widening, you're basically panning both directions at the same time. That's it. So if you widen something and you do it like 30%, and that's a 30% pan left and right. Okay, you're just using this tool to widen the sound. Right, it moves the same distance, left and right side. Okay, so let this about 30. Should get like the lower frequencies, but else should be. All right, panning. Check this out. So energy runs from your left to your right. You can thank Dr. Delbert Blair for that info I ran into. But energy comes in through your left, passes out through your right, right? Here is your EQ, right? Frequencies start on the left, go up, goes to the right. Put your left hand over your left ear, okay? Kind of push in a little bit. Speak. Higher frequencies are more pronounced in your right ear, and the lower frequencies are actually more dull in your right ear, okay? They don't hear the same. Cover your right ear, same way. speak. Bass frequencies are more present in your left ear, higher frequencies are less pronounced in your left ear. You're making panning decisions, sound like that sounds playing lower, higher frequency octave, right? That's going to help you to make decisions, right? So you don't necessarily have to sit there and wait for someone to tell you that you should take your closed hat and open hat and your crash cymbal and pan it to the right, right? Sure, you can look at the drum set, but then you realize the basic drum set was perfect engineering, right? Somebody knew. So that's how this stuff works, right? Got a piano, piano's on stage. Piano's what? Probably turn to the side, right? And what side is facing the audience? The side that has the higher octaves, right? Shorter frequencies, right? As opposed to the longer frequencies of the bass, right? Right? That probably gonna reach, right? Bam. So you start thinking about these things, and these things will start helping you to make decisions when you're doing things like EQing or panning, right? So we go into EQ a piano, you're most likely going to do what? Turn down the bass a little bit because that's facing away from the listener and more towards the back of the stage. So it's going to appear quieter, and then the higher frequencies, those higher octaves, are going to be closer to the listener, louder, more present, right? So you end up boosting it. And that's how you, for the most part, are going to do most of your pianos, unless you're looking for something more dark, right? And then you might see a piano turn facing the other side, right? And so when you start to recognize these things, you go, oh, okay, right? Click, click. So, I said a lot. We talked about EQ, we talked about compression, we talked about saturation, we talked about reverb. I didn't do anything with delay, but I will say those 5 tools, if you can understand the parameters, how to use them, get familiar with them, you can mix any track. Those are mixing tools, not necessarily specific to mixing, but those are the 5 like main tools you need to understand to mix down a track. As you can see, it's done. It's done. Alright, so the longer you hang around, the more acquainted you'll get. Always feel free to ask questions. If you have music that you would like to check out, like for me to check out, get feedback on, or you just want me to play it just to play it, speak up, man. This is I enjoy doing this stuff. Alright, I enjoy doing it. I used to be an artist. I started out that way. 2008, I wrote my last song. I decided I loved doing more the behind the scenes work. Plus, that stuff was getting oversaturated. Everybody, right? The mom, uncle, grandma, the baby, the cow, right? That jumped over the moon. Like, everybody had a tune, right? So it's like, okay, everyone's doing that. I want to do something else. I don't want to do whatever. Kind of shies away from the song itself into mixtape. I went on to keep making songs after. That mixtape was all original music, by the way. It was me and the CEO. We built the beats, and then we had, artists. I had my brothers, and he had a few of his artists and stuff like that. Boom. That was all cool. Don't regret it, but I started finding out more and more. I started falling in love with like creating everything, right? To be able to make the beat, then to go and record it and all that. And I was garbage at that point, right? Pure garbage. Um, and I'll tell you from now till the end of time. This is passion. I don't have a degree I can show you for this. I don't, but I know it inside and out. I know it inside and out. You got a question, I can answer it. Yeah, I like this, and this This has been what I worked so hard for, and it's to a point now where eyes closed, right? Eyes closed. I could do this over and over and over again. What I would like to do at some point is I would like to help others who have an interest in it, and hopefully it doesn't take you long, and definitely you don't go around and have to end up spending 80,000, 100,000, right? All you got to do is show up, because the way it works out here, you time or you're gonna put in the money for somebody else's time, right? We like having stuff, right? I like this desk. It's a nice desk, but I don't know squat about woodworking. All right, so I either put in the time and learn how to do this, or I walk into a store. I say, how much does this cost? And I'm gonna pay for somebody else's time, right? To put this together, and whatever it is it took them for them to do that, right? But hey, I got the desk that I wanted, right? If it's not for you, that's fine. And you make music, and you're like, I want to make music, but engineering's not my thing. But I need it to sound good because I need to put it out there. I want people to listen to it. Talk to me. There's plenty of other people. You've seen people come in here, right? There's plenty of people. Find them. Especially if you're on Kick. They're all over. They're just starting to pop up just like out of nowhere, and I love it. I love it, man. Go to category, hit creative, hit music production. You'll probably see them. Not everybody's doing hip hop, doing their own thing, but seeing people create, we need more of that. We have more people consuming, and we have less people producing what more people are consuming. All right, so gotta have that balance. But yeah, that's about it. So I am going to continue. I still got to redo the mixes for a lot of this stuff. I am getting these beats uploaded to my BeatStars page, so at some point, I guess I'll pushing that. But let me get out of here, okay? I'm still practicing as well. My music theory is going along well, as you can hear. Learning some interesting things, and what do I want to say? Be careful out there. Be safe. It's really wild right now, and it's going to continue. Gonna continue. Mark my words. You got about another year of this. All right. Ain't no fun when divine judgment got the gun. That's all I'm saying. So be kind. Right. Stay humble. Start asking yourself, how can I be of service? What are you supposed to be doing right now? Destiny or fate. This is year of the 8. With that, I'm out. Peace.